All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up. See this? This is my boomstick! Human spider, that's it? That's the best you got? Yeah. Maybe, just maybe my boys can stop him from getting the book. Yeah, maybe I'm a Chinese jet pilot.
He had me on the floor.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Rabbit Hole.
Episode 18.
Right on. This is going to be a special episode. We're going to try something a little new here. We're going to do a celebrity spotlight. All right, excellent. So, Jeremy, who is our celebrity of the day?
Our celebrity of the day is a local Michigander from Royal Oak. He has starred in so many B movies I couldn't count them all. He has been called one of the greatest actors of all time by you and me. Our man, Bruce Campbell.
Right on. Yeah.
Start us off with Evil Dead, 1978. No, 81 it was released. I'm sorry, it was filmed in 78. 1981 when it was released.
This movie took 4 years to film.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And some of the stories I've heard in filming this, oh, yeah. Things getting stolen, no working plumbing in the cabin at all, and the dirt road turned into, like, this muddy mess that they had to go down every single day to get
imagine.
to. They used Caro syrup for blood in those days, and, you know, that stuff, when it gets too cold, it becomes like plastic. So Bruce Campbell would literally have to shower in super hot water just to melt the Caro syrup off of his body to get it to come off.
He was quite tortured through the filming of this movie, right?
Absolutely.
That's the stories that I've known is like Bruce Campbell was put under a lot of crap.
That's what happens when you make movies with your high school friends.
Yeah, which is all. Hey, that's a great story in itself, and how they just got involved because it was Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi.
And eventually Rob Tappert was into the fold, and that's when they started making their Super 8 movies and stuff. Yeah.
And I hear they decided to have Bruce Campbell be like the star actor because he was the handsome one.
He was the handsome one with no sense of fashion whatsoever. I mean, the dude, like, yeah, they didn't. He complained about his pants, the knees in his pants always getting wet. He was wearing Montgomery Ward jeans and his dad's like smoking jacket and stuff to school. Yeah, he's a fashion victim, as they say. But he was the handsome one, yeah. And they started with, like I said, Super 8 movies. They had I forgot what year it was, but they filmed Within the Woods, which was kind of like a concept for Evil Dead. Proof of concept that they could show to investors and stuff. And I don't know how I came across it, but I actually have a copy of that. Really horrible quality, but I do have a copy of that where Bruce Campbell is the one who gets possessed first instead of his sister. It's just kind of like a little role reversal. It's not that long, and like I said, you can barely tell what's going on screen, but I'm very, very proud to own that.
Yeah.
And, yeah, Evil Dead 2. There was kind of a controversy between Evil Dead 1 and 2 because they had to sell the rights to make Evil Dead 1. And then when it came to doing Evil Dead 2, they pretty much had to rewrite the story from the ground up for the first, I don't know, half hour, I suppose. Because you remember in the start of Evil Dead 2, it was like the beginning of Evil Dead 1, except there were far less characters. They had Ash and they had his girlfriend.
Right.
But in the original, they had Ash, his girlfriend, his sister, his friend, and his girlfriend. And that was just a gory mess, wasn't that? Evil Dead 1.
Pretty much everything involved with the Evil Dead franchise, that's kind of the concept behind it, is gory mess, yeah.
Yeah. But Evil Dead 2, like I said, they rewrote the story pretty much up until the point where Ash got possessed, which was at the end of Evil Dead 1. And then from there, they just started writing a whole new story involving the people who own the cabin, their daughter, coming to try to find out what happened to her parents. Instead, finding Ash, whose possessed girlfriend has been completely, and now he's gone nuts, and the cabins just drove him to insanity, and now he has a chainsaw. Oh no, he doesn't have that yet. He just has a stump. He has a stump at this point. when he's discovered in the cabin. And so much chaos ensues where they have to find the pages of the book, and the daughter's mother gets possessed, and yeah, she becomes like the main antagonist in the cellar. I know I'm jumping ahead like a crazy madman, but there's so much to talk about with Bruce Campbell.
It's cool. It's been a minute since I've watched these movies,
Yeah.
so reliving it through your storytelling is kind of fun.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But so yeah, they have to go get pages from the Book of the Dead because one of the dudes who actually came to the cabin was a tow truck driver. I forgot his name. I forgot the guy's name. Editor, it's your job to do it. So he brings the daughter and her boyfriend along with his girlfriend, Bobby Joe. I'll never forget her name, Bobby Joe, because I actually have a cousin named Bobby Joe. And they get to the cabin, and somehow, I forgot exactly what happens, but Bobby Joe gets spooked and she runs away, and they have to go find her. They have the pages of the book, but I'm getting all twisted and confused and mixed up here.
So, but again, though, they had to essentially remake the same movie in a different way so that they could have rights to it.
Yeah.
And it took off from there because, like, where does Army of Darkness come into this? Because that's kind of where I started more or less.
Yeah, I started these ass backwards. I started with Army of Darkness, and then Evil Dead 2. Evil Dead 1, then Evil Dead 2. But yeah, Army of Darkness came into my world as the very first of the Evil Dead trilogy, and that was, I think, 1991. And pretty much the same exact scenario that it was for Starship Troopers. My dad rented the Army of Darkness. He watched it, and he's like, "Nah, you can handle it. You'll like it." He actually said that you'll like it, and I loved it. There's nothing about that movie that could be funnier or more thrilling in a Bruce Campbell movie than that one. I loved Army of Darkness.
Agreed. Yeah. So that's where he really shined to me too. I don't know, came up with the more iconic one-liners and such things.
Oh yeah. I mean, Evil Dead 2, you got Groovy, of course. That's where that one came in, and that's kind of the point in the movie where it kind of shifts a little bit to more of a comedy. So he kind of brings that along, and of course, give me some sugar, baby. I love that line.
Yeah.
Never used it on anyone,
me some sugar,
but I love
baby.
that line. Ash, back in the medieval times, he's got to find the Necronomicon to go home. And, of course, the wise man gives him some words to say. Clatu Verata Nicto. I can remember those words just because of this movie. But when Ash has to say them, Clatu Verata Okay, then.
Definitely an N-word.
Yep.
That's it.
Then he brings that. So in the original two, who read from the book that kind of bring because that's how the story goes on. It's like
the original?
Yeah.
That one was they found a tape recorder in the basement. That was the professor who owned the cabin, and basically he was just transcribing what he found in the Naturum de Monto, as it is called in the first movie. So he's just reciting this shit. And all the while, the sister's like, "I don't want to hear this. Shut it off." And he's like, "I just want to keep on hearing it. It's no big deal. It's thunderstorming outside. They have no electricity. There's freaking a fire going. Yeah, let's listen to some dude talk about some spooky shit about the Book of the Dead. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah. Great idea, Scotty." So, of course, Scotty's like, "I just want to hear the rest of it." Turned it on, and yeah, that was just enough to wake up whatever lies in the woods to, come and get them, possess them all, and our man Ash is the only one left standing.
Right. And at the end of the second one, he's when he's teleported, right?
Yes, they find the pages to banish the evil, but unfortunately, I'm not sure why it doesn't stop, and he actually addresses, like, for God's sakes, how do you stop it? Because she starts that vortex, and it takes the evil into the vortex, but then, of course, it takes him and his lovely Delta 88, which is in almost every Sam Raimi movie ever made. That's Sam's special car. And he gets teleported back to medieval times. I'm not sure what the year is. And then at the end of the second one, he's already kind of deemed the savior, the man who fell from the sky. But when Army of Darkness starts, he's still like the stranger. He's working with Henry the Red. He's, more a witch, kind of, a heretic. Let's throw him into the pit.
Throw him in the pit.
Throw him in the pit. To the pit with him. And that has some great comedic scenes too. One of my favorite scenes is when one of the guys from Henry the Red is leaving, like he's trying to run away before he gets thrown in the pit, and Arthur takes up the crossbow and he shoots it, and you see the POV of the arrow follow him, and it's just so it's trying to be like straight, but it's so goofy and cartoony because you can tell how they did it. And yeah, I crack up every time. I love that. I love Sam Raimi's films when he does stuff like that. It just blends that perfect blend of horror and comedy.
Mm-hmm. And of course, like all practical effects here.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, all practical effects. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the first one, I'm not sure who did the first one. I should know. But I know the second one was done by Greg Nicotero and Howard Berger and Robert Kurtzman, who, they went on to, Greg Nicotero, he pretty much is executive producer on The Walking Dead and all that stuff. He's done so many movies and stuff. All those guys have. But yeah, they all started in doing Evil Dead and movies and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So just the legacy continues from there.
Right. Do you know how they financed the filming for the first Evil Dead? I thought it was. So I heard the story. It was at least the end part. So what Bruce Campbell was telling the story, and it was they had to alter the filming from it was a 16 millimeter to a 32 millimeter or something.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And they needed $50,000 for it. Uh-huh. And Bruce basically asked his dad, and his dad basically took out a loan against his property.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
So this is one of the rare occasions too where a parent who lent their kids some money to do some crazy idea didn't just get their money back, but they actually made money doing it.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty cool story. His parents were just going through a divorce, so he tells the story he kind of one-upped his dad in a way. He fooled his dad, but it's a cool story that they, I don't know, invested in that idea, that crazy idea to make this movie, basically.
Yeah.
And it paid off.
Yeah. It just goes to show you got to be supportive of your kids.
Yeah, even with their crazy ideas.
That's right.
So Bruce Campbell goes on to be a cult classic in himself, basically.
Oh, absolutely.
So we call him a B-list actor, but a lot of people would say that he's the king of the B-list actor.
Yes, absolutely.
So
I agree.
I think for me what came first was you gave me this guy's name earlier, but I forgot it. But his portrayal of the King of Thieves,
Autolycus,
in The Legend of Hercules.
Yeah.
So I loved that show when I was a kid. Just saying, and that's where I first seen him, and I really enjoyed that character. Mm-hmm. And I think he actually was a director, because that's one thing you can say about Bruce Campbell too. He's the actor, the writer, the director. Really, he's a.
Oh yeah, he's a smorgasbord of creativity.
Yeah. So I believe he directed some of the episodes of Hercules, The Legendary Journey, and he definitely was in some of them. And I know I caught him as just a kid in that, and really liked him there. Yeah. And that was back before Netflix and such. So I only got to see the episodes that were on that I caught.
Yeah.
So I didn't see them all, but I know I looked for it.
Yeah.
And I seen when. His show, The Jack of All Trades, started getting advertised.
Oh, dude!
And I actually thought it was somehow the same character.
Mm-hmm.
I was just a kid and I was confused, and I remember looking for that show and never really being able to see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where I first seen him. And then when it comes to The Evil Dead, it's I remember him from these other roles, and he caught my eye. And two, just to go on, he. Later on with Burn Notice, because I watched him there too.
I only watched Burn Notice because of Bruce Campbell.
Right, and I didn't watch the whole. I haven't seen every episode of that either.
No,
but
me neither.
He was fantastic there too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of his TV work. He has steady work with Hercules and Xena and all the crossovers he did with that. Jack of All Trades didn't last long, and that was a great premise. It was like Pirates of the Caribbean before it was Pirates of the Caribbean.
Well, people called it like Forrest Gump in a way. Like he was in like all these situations throughout history or something.
Yeah. They were basically kind of doing a fictitious take on actual history. It was pretty cool. And then you had The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr., his Western, which another one I loved. Got canceled way too early. All of his TV work never really panned out for much until he got to Hercules and Xena, of course. And then, of course, he made all these B movies and stuff and, became... he did like some Disney movies and stuff, a lot of little bit of work here and there. After Army of Darkness, that was like his last like major leading role, as far as I can tell. As far as like a major studio, I'm not saying none of his B movies he wasn't, because he wrote and starred and directed and all that shit in those movies. But I'm trying to think as far as like a main, like, because Universal backed Army of Darkness. Okay. And I'm trying to think of any other major Hollywood movie.
I don't know of any either.
I don't know. I don't think so. I can't think of any.
But there's several, we can say, cameos or side characters that he's played that's really like shaped the movie wherever he's been. Like we've mentioned, he was Sam Raimi's friend, and Sam Raimi was the director of all three of the original Spider-Man movies, right?
Yep.
So Sam Raimi brought his buddy Bruce Campbell in for a cameo in every one of those, and he really, those scenes really changed the movie. They add like a whole new sense of, fun to the movies.
The funny thing about that, Bruce Campbell was telling a story about how Sam just called him up. He just needed somebody to fill the role, so he called him up, and Bruce is taking these roles, these little bit parts, so seriously and ingratiating these kind of like emotions and stories of how he's changing Spider-Man's life and how his character is so important to the story. And the way he explains it actually makes a lot of sense.
It would be true. They are all like, they're important characters in each one of those movies.
Exactly. So what Sam Raimi's like, okay, just show up and do your job, guy.
Yeah. The funny thing is that there was like a theory going around that there was supposed to be a Spider-Man 4, and that each one of those characters he played was actually the same character, and they were gonna reveal that he was Mysterio.
Oh my God.
That would be so cool. As Bruce Campbell as Mysterio would have been awesome.
I would have seen that in the theater several times. I've never had the pleasure of seeing our man Bruce in anything on the big screen as far as like, a leading role. And it's sad. He's such a great actor. He did, Bubba Hotep. Did you ever see that one?
Yeah, I don't think I've seen it, but I've heard about it.
It's ridiculous.
And do you know, just because another leading role, like there was a spinoff of his character from Burn Notice. Did they make a series, like a TV show, or
I think it was a movie, the Sam Axe movie.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was like a made-for-TV kind of deal.
Okay,
something like that. Yeah, but Bubba Hotep, where he plays Elvis.
Right, an old Elvis.
Old Elvis. Never. Who's got what is that? I think it's cancer on his penis or something like that. And you have a black guy who is supposedly JFK.
Well, right. Isn't that the thing? Is that it's never like, is it actually revealed in the movie that he is Elvis, or is it just he at least thinks he's Elvis?
It's never revealed as far as I can tell. I'm trying to think if I've ever gotten through it all, because it is a very ridiculous movie, but it's a lot of fun. Just an ancient mummy coming back, and you have these little bugs. Literally, no CGI. These are all practical effects, and it's a low-budget movie. And you can tell it's a low-budget movie, but it's a lot of fun seeing Bruce Campbell act out as Elvis, and it's kind of... It's also kind of a little bit depressing, too. Some of the scenes where he's just kind of laying there being old and he can't do anything, and you can see time just passing him by. Like, days are just going by and he's just laying there in his bed doing nothing. So, yeah, it runs the gamut of emotions as far as films go. But, yeah, good one to check out, too.
A multi-layered actor. You can do some horror. You can do some action.
Yeah.
He can make you laugh. He can make you cry.
And he throws all of that together when we get to Ash versus Evil Dead.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. High comedy value in the whole.
So great.
Which, like, we would say these movies are gory, but I would say to today's standards, they're just bloody.
Yeah.
So that's definitely bloody, funny, action packed. So I've watched this more so recently. I can't detail it like you could. I'm sure. But man, I enjoyed it the whole way through. I think I've mentioned I was upset by the ending just because it ended.
Just because it ended, yeah. I totally agree there. Yeah. I wanted it to continue to see what would happen in the future with Ash, but it's how long can you do Ash Williams, you know?
Well, one thing, so behind the scenes here, I hear Bruce hated this role. Like, he hated this experience as Ash.
Yeah.
Because it was a much higher production value, I'm sure, than what he was used to as the character.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been at this for like 30 years, so a lot of things changed. And yeah, he had a very bad. He didn't enjoy himself. Like one thing he had said, like all of their scenes were shot at the same studio. Like they never.
Oh, they never went on location for anywhere. Oh, for somebody who travels to distant lands to film their movies, I could see how that could be disheartening.
So a lot of things like that just, I don't know, didn't sit with him well. And like now you're in the world of CG instead of the practical effects that you're used to. And like one thing he even explained is like back in the day, if like Ash needed to shoot out a window, like they loaded a shotgun and got everything cleared and shot a window.
Exactly, that's what you do.
And now it's like you hold the shotgun and you gotta go like, and like so just stuff's different. And that wasn't enjoyable for him, so I can understand why it ended.
Okay. Well, that picture's a little clearer.
How many
now.
seasons do you think it ran?
3.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And
HBO, right?
Stars.
Okay.
Yeah. I still need to get the last season on Blu-ray, but I have the first 2, and I watch it a lot because, just especially that first season is just great. I love the first season.
I enjoyed like Lucy Lawless being pulled into this too, because then there's that like that connection of having worked together over a number of years and whatnot, and having them thrown together. I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, she's the wife of Rob Tappert, so they're all kind of interconnected.
Interesting, cool.
Yeah. So, from there, just kind of keeping low profile out in Oregon.
He sounds like a pretty simple guy.
Yeah, a humble guy and appreciative of his fans and stuff, and just everybody wants him to put the chainsaw on one more time, and people can't do it forever. It's really
that's true, and he's an artistic guy, so he'd like to go out in different directions, I'm sure. But this is a guy who could make a lot of money doing Comic Cons for ever.
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, the guy who played Henrietta in Evil Dead 2 did Comic Cons and does very well for himself. I mean, anybody who were in those B movies and do Comic Cons can make some money. I would definitely go see if it was, local enough. I'm not saying I wouldn't travel, but local enough, I would definitely go to see Bruce Campbell.
That would be an attraction for a Comic-Con, yeah.
Definitely.
I'd go with you to that one.
You better. Who else is going to go with me?
Right.
I need you to drive.
So yeah, that's my synopsis on Bruce Campbell there.
Bruce is amazing. He's still to this day probably one of he's the king of B movie actors. There's nobody out there who's going to do what he has done or accomplished and still be called a legend.
Be as well known as he is. Like you say, than I have starred in any real major. I mean, other than these movies that they made in the like major movies, he really hasn't starred in any major movie. So
no,
but he's quite well known.
Yeah, he's no Chris Pratt, Tom Cruise, or anything like that. You're not going to see him at the Academy Awards, but everybody knows Bruce and everybody loves Bruce. I have never met a single person who had anything negative to say about Bruce Campbell. Even my wife likes Bruce Campbell. He's a great guy.
All right. So yeah, that was the special episode of the Rabbit Hole.
Yep. Where we're talking about we're gushing about our buddy Bruce Campbell. Well, our buddy. I wish he was our buddy.
Yeah.
I'm not stalking. Let's no.
Just another Michigan boy. So
Yeah.
we're gonna shout out there. Maybe good old boy. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, you enjoy yourself out in
Alright.
you enjoy yourself out in Oregon there, Bruce. Hopefully we'll see you on something soon.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe below, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.
Peace.